morning, guys. Welcome back to Ironman Prep. I think this is episode 14. We are 5 weeks out. 5 weeks. So, just going to give you an idea of what the training sessions are going to look like. They're this week more focused on running. So, we're going to hit 50 miles this week of running and then hit around 140 to 150 miles of biking. Swimming will be around 9,000 yards to maybe 10,000 yards. So how this is going to progress for the next 5 weeks is I peak next week in terms of biking. I have my longest bike workout. That would put me at 4 weeks out. And then I have my longest run workout 3 weeks out. And then my longest swim about 2 to 1 week out. But this week is more focused on running. So we're going to kick off this morning with a 18-mile long run. And then we have a 3.5-hour ride where we're going to be pushing a little more power. Today is just a long run and a lift. And then tomorrow is that long bike session and a swim. We got a ton of things going on. Let's go build character, run 18 miles on a freaking treadmill. Gotta embrace the monotony. That's how you get better at suffering through things. So 18 miles on the treadmill, baby. Here we go. All right, so I wanted to pull up my training program and just talk about, before we get into our next session, how I am able to stay consistent with my training and how I set it up in the day. So, like today, I run in the morning, mainly because of the willpower thing. I'm going to say time and time again, do the hardest workout in the morning first thing when you wake up. It reduces decision fatigue throughout the day, and you can stay consistent. If you were to wait, things pop up in the day, and it just is much harder to do an 18-mile run than it is to hit a lifting session for an hour. So that's why I always lift. And also too, when I lift, I like to get more solid food in to fuel that work. So it just works out that I'll have a few meals in me to lift, so that way I'm full of protein, glycogen, and I'm just got a little more pop. But to share kind of how I intuitively plan out my week for Ironman training. So this week was my longest run, which so far was 18 miles. And then next week we have a long bike session and run. This will probably be my longest workout. It's a 5.5-hour ride plus 6 miles, which will take me 45 minutes. So looking at 6.5 hours almost of training in one particular session. So when I have these big workouts, what I'll do the day before, and I've always done this, I don't completely take off. I just do something low impact. So before today's 18-mile long run, I just swam and did push-ups and pull-ups because I knew I'd have a big effort today. Or sometimes it's just a bike, something not a lot of impact or not similar to what I'm doing those big sessions on. So like next week when I have a 5.5-hour ride, I'm not going to get on the bike the day before. I'm going to get in the pool because it's low impact, and I'm not even going to run because, again, I'm running Sunday, which is the 5.5-hour ride. So it doesn't make sense to stress your body out the day before. But all this is just saying, like, it's crazy. If you just plan for your big days, you can kind of sort out the rest of your week to make it manageable. If we try to cram too many hard days back to back to back, that's when, we run into burnout, and I think it's harder to hit the splits, harder to hit the power. So I like having an easy day right before a big day. That's what I do. I don't take completely off. Again, it's something, but it's not whatever I'm going to do. It's always either low impact or just weight training, something that's not going to tax my body. Like I'm not going to hit a leg day before I go do this 5.5 hour ride. That'd just be stupid. So just crazy how when you plan, it really helps. So we just finished up our weight training session. We did chest, shoulders, triceps, just like one tricep movement that you saw. The other shoulder movement I didn't record, but it was just cable, front raises. I like to hit the front delt, side delt. I did my shoulder press as well. So those were like the shoulder movements. Obviously you saw the chest movements. Again, can't stress this enough. I like to weight train during endurance preps, just I bring it down comparative to what I normally do. So weight training done, but I want to talk about something that just to make sure that you guys know more about me. I feel like on social media it can look like I'm a robot sometimes, or even in these YouTube videos, like you must think maybe you don't, but that I just like wake up and all I want to do is train, and like I just have all the time in the world to train, and like that's my life. And like obviously training is a big part of my life in this season of my life, but it's not like who I am as a person, and it's not always the thing I want to do or am excited to do. In an Ironman prep, I've been doing this now 16 weeks, and I've been training anywhere from, on the low end, 16 hours to 20 hours a week. And that's week after week after week, and averaging closer to that 20 hours a week or 19 hours a week. So a lot of training. When you think of a work week, it's almost half a work week. So I, just like you, have emotions and thoughts of me just not wanting to do it. Really not wanting to do it. I think that's natural when you push yourself. I think that's a normal feeling. So I just want you guys to know that, you're not alone in fighting those demons. But I do think there's a lesson from that. And it's to listen to like your spirit, your soul, as your higher self. Like we all kind of have this intuition where we're like this person who we want to be, the things that we want to inhabit, and those characteristics, we know in our mind kind of what we want to look like and who we want to be. And then we have these urges, which is like your lower self, of things that are comfortable, things that are distractive or addictive, or maybe going against what you want your higher self to be, what your inner soul truly wants. So I like to think of it as like your true self and your lower self. Your lower self is the impulsive side. But I think the only way to, in my experience, to have fulfillment and be really happy within yourself is to master your impulses, your lower self, the temptations, the things that pull you away from who you want to be, the things that pull you away from what you want to do in life, those voices, those impulses that maybe aren't healthy. That's a battle that we all face every day. And I think true happiness comes from learning to win those battles and learning to do the hard thing over the easy thing. Because a lot of times we know what we have to do, whether that's lose weight, whether that's what you're doing at your job or what you're doing at your home that maybe is affecting things around your life. Like, we all know where the problems are and the solutions. We all kind of have that intuition, but we don't ever take action because it requires change, and change is uncomfortable and change is hard, but we kind of know what we have to do. So what I'm saying here is that intuition, that soul telling you, your inner spirit, your inner voice, that's telling you what you need to do, and you need to act on it. There's a lot of self-help books out there that almost, I think the whole point of self-help books is to reconnect your spirit with your inner self, to master your inner self. I think that's what the majority of these books are for, to fight all these impulses that all of us humans have. And some people struggle with certain things, some people struggle with other things. But I truly believe if you want to have more peace in your mind and more clarity in your life and happiness, it's when you look in the mirror and you're proud of who you are because of what you've done, and resisting that lower self going to the impulses that pull you away from who you want to be. I think when you look in the mirror and you can be honest and say, hey, I am everything I wanted and I am striving to be everything I want to be, I think that's where happiness is. I always say to people, you hear it all the time, hey, I'm locked in, bro. I'm so dialed in. I feel so good. I'm so happy right now. It's funny how that's when people are happy. You never hear somebody say, oh, I'm happy right now and I'm eating like shit, caving to all these temptations. You never hear people happy in those situations. And it's because, again, we all kind of know who we want to be and what we want to do and the goals we want to chase after. But a lot of times we know it's hard and we don't do it just because that's the hard thing. The easy thing is to do the impulsive thing, to cave to the comfort, to cave to whatever maybe your coping mechanism is. I'll stand on this, and I learned this from my Ironman prep. I face it every day just like you guys do, maybe in a different dimension, but I don't want to do a lot of these workouts, especially when they're this hard and I'm on the bike for 5.5 hours. But at the end of the day, I want to look in that mirror and know I am the person that I'm striving to be. And I'm not perfect, nobody is, but did I do everything I could today in my control to be that person I want to be? And if the answer is yes, it's a good day. If the answer is no, you got to go back and self-correct. And I truly believe, again, most people are happy when they're more connected with their inner self. And that's why, like, you'll see all these people, you hear it all the time, like, they have all the money in the world, they have the big house, the fancy cars, but they're not happy. Well, it's because you can't buy that peace. You don't get that peace by buying things. You just don't. Sure, that stuff can make you temporarily happy, but How oftentimes do you buy something new? Like, I'm sure we can all think of something we bought new and then you forget that at one time it made you super stoked to put on a certain shirt or drive a certain car that you owned, and it becomes normal. That's why chasing those external things, I believe, is chasing a finish line that you never find. I just want to be like a light in this social media. That's the whole point I post these videos, is to hopefully maybe change your life or change your perspective on life, or maybe just hear a different perspective of what's made a difference in my life. Pursuing growth in yourself, in your spirit, so that way you can serve others. It's like that saying too, if you can't love yourself, how are you going to help others? And it's so true. Like, if you can't take care of yourself, you're never going to be able to take care of other people, because you got so much going on in here. So that's my motivation, is I want to be able to help people as much as I can, but I know I can't get on here and share my wisdom if I haven't lived it out myself. So that's what I learned, and I hope you guys can apply it, or maybe just think about it. But yeah, so with that being said, we wrapped up the gym session, deep little TED talk, and we'll kick on with the rest of the video. So from last YouTube video, I talked about hunting, and I sat 3 times in the woods, and I had to make some upgrades to my bow. And just want to share this to you guys that maybe hunt or want to get into hunting, some things that I've added that I think are really important. So my last bow that I had just a support for your hand to go under to keep you consistent with where you hold, and just to take some weight off of your hand when you're holding the bow to draw and to shoot. So my last bow had this, but I just put this on, this support here for your wrist. That way it just offloads some of the weight of the bow onto your wrist, not just holding it on the hand, which will make you more consistent of a shot. The next thing I've done, and this was largely due to my past 3 hunts last year, I thought I needed 5 pins. I didn't need 5 pins. I'm realistically, as I said in the last YouTube video, I'm only going to shoot, max 40 yards in the woods. So I was like, hey, why not get another sight that's lighter, simpler, and very easy to use? So that's what I did. I got not cheap, but a good solid metal sight. But I used to use a Trophy Ridge 5-pin, and this was just too clunky. I had too many things going on. So I wanted to keep it super simple. So I got this really simple sight here. 3 pins. Brand is called Black Gold. No extra stuff going on up here. Just a simple sight. And I think that's the key to anything. The more complex you make it, the harder it is to stay focused. So when I had all those 5 pins on it, it just seemed too cluttered. So now that I have 3 pins, super easy and simple. If I ever have to shoot for any reason, say I go elk hunting over 40 yards, by then I'll be practicing just to play with the wind and the drop of the arrow. So if I know that the elk's at 50 yards, I'd be practicing aiming just a tad above a few inches, or centimeters I should say, for the arrow to drop. I don't really think I need a pin at 50. I would just, again, aim a little higher on that 40 yard to hit a 50-yard shot. And I don't think I'll ever shoot over that in, Colorado whenever I would go, or Pennsylvania, definitely not. So that's what I moved to. Those are the upgrades on the bow. And I'll show you guys the gear that I got as far as camo. I think you guys can guess by the hat, but I bought all this with my own money. None of this stuff is sponsored, just trying to share my passion and maybe help you guys, save some money and not buy things twice, which I've done. So that is the setup. We got like an hour of just staring at a line in a pool, which is always fun. But I like to do these sessions, as I've talked about, first thing in the morning. Like literally I can't swim in the evening because my willpower to drive 30 minutes and also the time constraint. That's the closest pool I have is 30 minutes away. So like you talk an hour of driving, both, counting both ways. So I got to get it done in the morning when I can. So that's what we're doing. That's the key. Again, I'm going to preach this over and over again. Do the hardest workout that you have that you least want to do in the morning. Because after the day just starts and everything compiles, it's a lot harder to get it done. So let's go rip this swim. And I think, yeah, we got an hour. I did swim the full distance of an Ironman. So I'm projecting my swim to take an hour and 20 to an hour and 30 minutes, because that's what my last swim of the full Ironman distance in the pool took me. So I kind of got a benchmark for that, but at least we can survive the swim based on my practice. All right, so we just did our best swim yet. Swim progress, let me update you guys on Ironman. How much my swim has progressed in the past 16 weeks. I started out at a 1:58 to 2 minute per 100. And today I did a 1:43. So almost 20 seconds faster per 100 yards from when I first started. And that took 16 weeks. So don't ever get discouraged that, you're never going to get better at swimming. The blueprint for me was swimming 3 times a week and just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. They're literally as simple as that. That's what I did. 3,000 to 4,000 yards 3 times a week, sometimes even less than 3,000 yards each session, maybe like 2,800 to 2,600. That just is a realistic, I feel, time and / improvement in the pool is like a 20-second difference if you train consistently for 3 months, 4 months. So wow, that felt good, but we're making progress. So hyper focusing on the swimming has paid off and being consistent with it. So all right, so post-workout, what we have here is, I know it looks crazy, whatever is on top of my eggs. It's black bean salsa and pineapple salsa. I love eggs and salsa, but I do an egg and egg white combo just to keep the protein higher and the fat a little lower. And that's kind of like how I set up my diet is throughout the day, I try to keep fats lower and carbs and protein high, because I know at dinner I like to have like higher fat in terms of my meal, and then like moderate carb, high protein. But throughout the day, because I know, whether I go out to eat or whether I make something at home normally has more fat, so I try to keep my fats throughout the day a little lower. And also like it just keeps my stomach more happy because fat slows down digestion. So like when I have workouts back to back to back and I have a meal like this, I can work out in like an hour and it doesn't slow down digestion because I don't have much fat in there. So next up we have buff muffin, blueberry. You guys can use code French. That's the meal prep that I use. Protein muffins, good source of carbs, protein, a little bit of fat, and that is breakfast. So I'm gonna eat this and continue on. All right, so we have a 3-hour bike ride over 200 watts, which for me is pretty tough, especially carrying like fatigue throughout the week. So to make sure I can get 200 watts, I need to fuel. So my goal of this ride is to push 100 grams of carbs and 700 milligrams of sodium an hour. Roughly, I'm around 80, but now we are fueling 100 grams of carbs. And it's been a long ways working up to this, like finally building my tolerance, but it's pretty cool because I feel like I'm like itching to take another gel or itching to take, that means I'm really burning through it. So moral of the story is, if you can and your stomach can tolerate it, pushing carbs is only going to make you a stronger athlete, obviously to a certain degree. But I think 100 grams of carbs right now is really working for me. So what I'll do is I'll take Go Gels. These are more fast acting. I like to hit these on my big VO2 power sessions. It just hits me harder than Go Gels. And then this is more of like a slow releasing carb to give me energy throughout the whole ride so I don't bonk. But this is my main too. I always use mixed berry and sometimes apple, and I either use fruit punch or orange just to switch up the flavors. But we're gonna have that as my fuel so I can hit the power that I need to. Again, if I did this fasted or with not as many carbs, there's no way. Like, it's crazy what happens when you utilize carbs during training sessions. And when I first got into it, I was like, I don't need it. I needed it. I needed it. I would have been much faster and much better. So fuel the training, and you'd be surprised what you can do. You guys can use code French too on the supplements that you see. Sipping on a cold Diet Orange Crush. I think this is my favorite diet soda. All things in moderation aren't bad, so this is my guilty pleasure. But just finished up 100 pull-ups and 100 push-ups with a 20-pound vest. You know, I have all these weights, but like, you cannot get a better workout by doing weighted push-ups and weighted pull-ups as fast as you can. It's just such a good workout, and I think a lot of people think, like, even when they travel, if you can just do pull-ups and push-ups and you're, you know, in the gym downstairs in a hotel, or just push-ups, like, at least you're doing something and you can get a really good workout in. Like, if you take push-ups till failure, man, then nothing really humbles you more than that. It's hard. So more importantly, I do 100 pull-ups, 100 push-ups with a weighted vest right now when I don't have the energy to weight train. Again, I only weight train right now about 2 to 3 times a week. And on the days I don't weight train, I try my best to do that 100 weighted pull-ups, 100 weighted push-ups. And sometimes if I'm feeling really crazy, I'll do 100 weighted pull-ups and then 200 weighted push-ups. But more importantly, I just do it to keep the strength, you know, keep the healthy muscle, and mentally it's just challenging, right? Like, nothing is like, you can challenge yourself in the weight room, don't get me wrong, but something about doing body weight work and really controlling yourself on pull-ups, getting the full range of motion, and then push-ups, getting the deep squeeze at the bottom and the top, it's humbling. And the beauty thing is like, you don't need anything crazy. Just, if you want to, you can wear a 20-pound weighted vest, or if you don't, you can just do it without it. I just do it for the challenge of it, to make it harder and hopefully get some more hypertrophy. But that is the little mini workout session.